Hello, this is Keith, welcoming you to the 2020th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline the 1st of October 2015. The readers this week are Janet, Sally, Colin and Keith, with Robin on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Ferdinand Bouillon and Harry Breur, and is performed by Jean-Jacques Perry. It's used with his kind permission. Local stories include Hospital Trust is seeking £82 million for new Chase Farm, and Party turned into tragedy. First of all, the special news items this week. Enfield Vision are holding their Focus Day on Thursday the 15th of October at the Park Avenue Disability Centre, 65C Park Avenue, EN1 2HH. It's from 10:30am until 3pm, and a buffet lunch will be provided from 12 noon. If you'd like to go, please contact Enfield Vision on 0208 351 7259 before the 10th of October. That's Enfield Vision on 0208 351 7259 by the 10th of October. Enfield Macular Disease Support Group meets on the second Wednesday of every month from 10am to 12 noon at the Trinity Church Hall, Gentleman's Row, Enfield EN2 6AN. The meetings are open to anyone affected by central vision loss, and carers are welcome as well. For further details, please contact Alan Newson on 020 8886 5659. That's Alan Newson on 020 886 5659. If you're experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and she will be pleased to help you. That's Diane de Jersey, and she is on 020 8805 6578. Now Janet will read the first item of local news.
Health chiefs have moved one step closer to finalising plans for a multi-million-pound new hospital on the Chase Farm site. The Royal Free London NHS Foundation Trust is planning on selling some of the land surrounding the current hospital in the Ridgeway, Enfield, and will build an entirely new facility on a smaller section of the sprawling 39-acre site. While some of the costs of the new hospital will be generated from the sale of land for housing and a new primary school, the Trust needs £82 million from the government coffers. A spokesman from the Royal Free told the Advertiser that the Trust had now submitted its pitch for money to the government after the board approved the business case. Once the case for the new hospital is approved by government health bosses, the Trust will be one step closer to locking down the money. The Royal Free's chief executive, David Solomon, said, "This brings us another step closer to securing the funds we need to transform Chase Farm into a hospital that is fit for modern healthcare and will help us deliver world-class care to the local community for many years to come." While waiting for the final government go-ahead, the Trust will be submitting new planning application for the hospital building to Enfield Council to speed up the process of the revamp.
A teenager has told a court how her 18th birthday party ended in tragedy after her cousin was fatally stabbed when he tried to break up a fracas in the street between a group of young people. Natasha Llewellyn said she had made desperate efforts to pull 23-year-old Kiri Ford away when he intervened as the youths argued in Hazelbury Road, Edmonton, in the early hours of Sunday, November the 30th last year, the Old Bailey heard. 4 men, Charles Tamale, aged 19, of St Edmunds Road, Edmonton, his twin brother, Deo Tamale, of the same address, Atta Hanson, aged 18, of Church Street, Edmonton, and Geoffrey Kessie, aged 21, of Nuneaton, Warwickshire, were all on trial for murder. The four are also charged with conspiracy to rob, along with Idiri Omonesi, aged 18, of South Eastern Avenue, Edmonton, and 20-year-old Aaron Burrell of Lacey Close, Edmonton. The Tamale twins are also accused of one count of conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. They have pleaded not guilty to all charges. Natasha, a student, told the court she had first gone outside after hearing a commotion and saw a group of youths on the pavement arguing among themselves, and a few of them arguing with Kiri. Asked by prosecutor Brian O'Neill whether the 6 defendants were among those she saw arguing, she replied, "Yes. I was very concerned. I was worried what might happen, so I was shouting, 'Stop arguing, stop fighting,' she said." When that did not succeed, she tried pulling Kiri away, but that had not worked either, she told the court. She went back inside and assumed that her cousin was following, but when she realised Kiri was not with her, she ran outside and saw that the argument had escalated. Asked if she could see each of the 6 defendants as part of that group arguing, she replied, "Yes, I could," to each of their names. "I then went inside the house to say that Kiri was arguing and somebody needed to come and help," she told the court. When she left her house for the last time, she saw him lying in the middle of the road. He was responding, she said. He didn't seem to be in any pain at all. The trial continues.
Angered residents continue to lead a protest as they aim to get 3,000 signatures to stop developers building on Greenbelt land. Those living on Cotswold Way and Enfield Road have been left outraged by plans from housing company Fairview to transform the tranquil green space and claim it would be a disaster if proposals went ahead. The land is owned by the Diocese of London, who entered into an agreement with Fairview Homes in 2010 to manage the land on their behalf. However, fears were sparked after Fairview began soil testing the land, and this has led to a campaign being launched by those who back onto the site. People living in Cotswold Way joined up with residents in surrounding roads to demonstrate outside Fairview's public exhibition at St Peter's Church in Vera Avenue, Grange Park. The exhibition offered plans of up to 300 homes and a 3-form primary school, with Fairview hoping its plans will be accepted by Enfield Council. The protesters, known as Enfield Road Watch, spoke with residents who viewed the plans. Maria Turner, who is leading the campaign, told the Enfield Independent, "We had a really positive response from people who felt the same as we did, that the Greenbelt land cannot be touched. This area is already saturated with schools and houses. People will not be able to get out of their homes in the morning if homes and a new school is built." The online petition currently has just over 2,000 signatures since the launch earlier this month. Ms Turner added, "We are aiming for 3,000 signatures, which means it can be debated at the council and have a council officer look into our concerns. This will not only affect the residents, but businesses too. It could be a disaster."
A date has finally been fixed for the reopening of the staircase of a footbridge crossing the North Circular Road, Mayor of London Boris Johnson has confirmed. But anyone hoping to use it this year will have to think again. It's not scheduled to be back in operation until March of next year. The bridge, which links Bowes Road and Wilmer Way, was built in 2012, but since April 2014 the staircase has been closed to pedestrians after a routine inspection by Transport for London identified defects. In a letter sent to Enfield's London Assembly member Joanne McCartney, Mr Johnson confirmed that full access to the footbridge would be reinstated on March 29, 2016, meaning the staircase will have been out of bounds for 2 years. The bridge is close to Broomfield Secondary and Bowes Primary Schools, as well as Arness Grove Tube Station. It's been possible to use the bridge's wheelchair and cycling ramps in the past 17 months, but this takes significantly longer to do, and many pupils, parents and commuters have opted to cross the busy North Circular on foot instead. Ms McCartney, who has been campaigning to get the matter resolved, said, "While it's been a long time coming, I'm happy that local residents finally have a new proposed date for the reopening of the stairs. With the footbridge allowing residents to avoid the busy North Circular Road, the closure of the stairs has understandably caused a lot of concern in the local community. It's frustrating that local people have had to wait so long for these repairs to be carried out. It's equally frustrating that Transport for London's communication with residents on this matter has been so poor. I appreciate that this has been a complex issue, but Transport for London must ensure the local community are fully informed on any restrictions in the future. It's now down to them to ensure the repairs are carried out successfully so that we can avoid this inconvenience again." A Transport for London spokesman explained that the process of identifying and repairing the stairway had been a complex one, but was optimistic the work would be completed by early next year.
The charity Watchdog has launched an investigation into a trust that runs a part of the borough. The Charity Commission is probing the Enfield Island Village Trust after complaints of poor management and trust funds being at risk from trustees. In February 2014, the regulator started looking into the trust after receiving complaints about whether there were any valid elected trustees. Concerns were also raised over the possible risk to charity funds and whether certain decisions taken, which involved charitable funds, were taken properly and in the charity's best interest. The regulator has now appointed Paul Ridout and Colin Alexander as joint interim managers of the charity. A formal action plan requires the Enfield Island Village Trust to hold elections next May. However, those currently involved in the administration of the charity failed to comply fully with the requirements, while the conduct of the elections and complaints received about the process concerns within the trust. Joan Ryan MP for Enfield North, which covers the estate, said it is right that the Charity Commission has stepped in. She said a number of concerns have been raised by constituents, so I felt it necessary to write to the Commission to look into the trust. They have appointed people to run the trust while the formal investigation takes place. It's the right thing to do, and we must now await the outcome, but transparency is the most important thing. The Commission will investigate whether charity funds are at risk. They will also look at the future governance of the charity and consider whether there has been any misconduct. The Commission will publish this report in due course.
The hunt for the first ever colour television has been launched. The 3700 Colour Star was made by Ferguson Electronics on Great Cambridge Road, Enfield in 1967. However, few remain. Enfield Museum and Furniture Village have now launched a campaign to find the very first television made by the former company that was bought in 1987 by Thomson. The furniture store, which is set to open in the borough, are hoping a public appeal will see those who still have one of the rare televisions come forward and donate them to Enfield Museum. Charlie Harrison, Director of Marketing at Furniture Village, said, "Enfield has played a hugely important role in technological history. Though Enfieldians have lots to be proud of, we believe the 3700 Colour Star is one of the most important parts of the region's heritage. It provides a clear insight into the home environment of that time, and so it only seemed right to help the Enfield Museum restore one to its rightful place. The iconic 25-inch screen television offered both colour and black and white and transmissions for the first time. Furniture Village want to know if you have a Ferguson 3700 Colour Star, functional or not. Details on how to get in touch can be found at furnitureVillage.co.uk/magazine/homepage.aspx.
Enfield's parks are still among the best in the country, according to a nationally recognised benchmark of quality. A special celebration was held in Groveland's Park, Winchmore Hill, to commemorate 8 of the borough's parks retaining their special green flag status. The scheme recognises and rewards the best open spaces in the country. Groveland's, together with Bush Hill Park, Trent Country Park, Jubilee Park in Edmonton, Oakwood Park, Enfield Town Park, Forty Hall Park and Pims Park in Edmonton have maintained their status for another year. Daniel Anderson, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, is officially raising the flag in Groveland's Park with members of various user groups. The council manages many acres of parkland and open spaces, and Enfield is one of the greenest boroughs in London. This is fantastic news for Enfield, especially for those successful parks, said Mr. Anderson. Park staff, along with friends groups, continue to do a marvellous job in providing first-rate facilities in parks across the borough for everyone to enjoy during the difficult economic period. I urge residents this autumn to go out and see what is happening in our parks. Entertainment, cycle paths, outdoor gyms, guided walks and new play equipment, all there to be used and enjoyed. We will do everything we can to retain our green flags and work with the friends groups to improve the park's experience in Enfield.
A school has given its playground a new lease of life just in time to welcome its latest reception classes. Bush Hill Park Primary School in Main Avenue won grant funding to revamp the outdoor playground for its youngest pupils. Named the Fantastic Fours Playground, the site is bursting with activities such as a theatre and role play area, a sand and water construction zone, and a pedal bike track with garage. A nature area has been built within the playground to create a garden for the children, complete with a wormery, willow wigwams and an observation table for outside lessons. Head teacher Anna Theodosiou said, "Almost 2/3 of our pupils live in homes without gardens, so it's vital we provide our pupils with sufficient outdoor play opportunities. We needed a playground that would stimulate reception children and offer new physical experiences for creative and imaginative play from the very start of their school journey." Funding came from the National Lottery and the Ernest Cook Trust after help from the Enfield Town Schools Partnership. Emma Comalou, Partnership Coordinator of the Enfield Town Schools Partnership, added, "It's great to see our local primaries realising these exciting opportunities for healthy development. Awards like these allow us to really make a difference."
A volunteer for Charities in Enfield has completed a hat-trick of marathon nighttime walks through London, raising £4,500 for Cancer Research UK. Jeff Hecker completed his third 26.2-mile route through the capital streets. He's a trustee of Enfield Citizens Advice Bureau and of Enfield Community Transport, which provides transport for community groups in the borough. Twice a week, the 67-year-old also volunteers with the Beanstalk charity to help primary school children in Enfield learn to read. Mr. Hecker started volunteering in schools last year to give one-to-one literacy support for children. He said volunteering for 3 organisations providing valuable services for people in Enfield has certainly enhanced my retirement from my career in IT. This was his 3rd consecutive year he had completed for cancer research, Shine Night Walk. He was joined by his son Paul, 30, who also took part last year, and the duo completed the event in 9 hours 45 minutes. Father and son stayed together to cross the finish line at Old Billingsgate at 6:45 a.m. Mr. Hecker of Melbourne Way, Bushhill Park, went to watch Spurs play before joining thousands of others on the walk, which took in some of the key sights in London. They passed iconic buildings including St Paul's Cathedral, the British Museum and the Houses of Parliament. He added he was inspired to raise money as he knew lots of people with cancer. He said, "I was so pleased to complete the hat-trick, but it's the generous donations made to such a worthy cause that are what really matter and should be celebrated."
Making jam with wild strawberries is almost unheard of inside the M25 realm. However, 82-year-old Malcolm Pryor has done just that, as well as growing a host of other weird and wonderful plants, all in his back garden. Mr. Pryor of Swans Way, Enfield, said, "I suppose it started when I was a child and I'd go to the allotments with my father. The pensioner has recently been honoured for his jam-making skills at the Enfield Town Show last month, and Mr. Pryor told the Enfield Independent how by chance he started growing strawberries. He said, "It was quite incredible. I was coming home from a holiday to Cornwall around 30 years back, and when I parked up at home I found wild strawberry runners on my bumper. It must have been from travelling through the smaller roads, but I decided to stick them in the ground, and they've been there ever since. I cannot imagine there are many, if any, people with wild strawberries in their garden." The Enfield-born and bred man did not stop at growing strawberries and now has a flowering cherry tree along with raspberry, blackcurrant and gooseberry plants, to name a few. Mr. Pryor added, "I recently bought a walnut plant and a mango plant, but it will be some time before they produce any fruit." Even when evacuated from Enfield during the Second World War, Mr. Pryor found time to grow plants at the house in Banbury to keep his mind at ease. Julie Foster, who awarded Mr. Pryor with the top prize at the Enfield show, said, "Michael's wild strawberry jam tasted divine and was visually perfect. I particularly liked Michael's modern style, producing a jam with a wet, juicy appearance but without it being runny or sticky. He achieved the technically challenging task of bringing sweetness to the jam without overwhelming the natural sharpness and flavour of the wild fruit, and bringing form to the jam without smashing the individual and very delicate wild strawberries." Not content with just growing plants, the 82-year-old has had a new lease of life, recently performing solo on stage for the first time and doing public speaking. Mr. Pryor said, "I also took control of a plane for the first time. That was very scary. One of my son's friends was able to take me up. It was amazing." On secrets of how to get the best strawberry jam, he said, "Freeze the fruit in a robust polythene bag, and when frozen, roll the bag in your hands until you see all the seeds fall off the outside of the fruit, giving your finished jam a better colour and texture."
Major changes to the Dugdale Centre have angered those who use it. As Enfield Council feels the strain to its budget, it is set to make cost-effective changes to the centre in London Road, which hosts numerous exhibitions and the Enfield Museum. Otherwise known as the Enfield Local Studies Centre and Museum, more than 2,700 people visited the centre last year. The centre has archives into the history of Enfield that can be viewed by visiting the centre by telephone, email or by post. However, under new proposals, resources are to be scanned and made available online, with visits to the centre made appointment only. This has led to outrage, particularly for those who do not have access to a computer but still wish to access the archives. Anne Simmons, who regularly visits the Dugdale to view old maps and archives, does not have access to a computer and fears for the older generation. The 82-year-old said, "It is very sad to hear this could be happening. In 2009, this was made a hub for people to look back at Enfield and its history. I do not have a computer, and it is very easy to come to the centre at any time in the day and look at what I like. I fear for the older generation, as this is a massive part of my life. I've lived in Enfield all my life." Plans have been made to move the Enfield Museum, which hosted the war exhibition, onto the first floor of the centre, with the space left free in its absence. Fears have also been raised in the loss of staff from 5 to 1 and the possibility of no further exhibitions due to financial constraints. Frequent user Eliza Norris said, "It's great to ask people and have a conversation with someone about Enfield. It matters a lot to many older people too. Making everything digital may help some, but not the majority who use the Dugdale." Councillor Aoife Oren, Cabinet Member for Education, Children's Services and Protection, said, "The proposed changes will make it more accessible while giving residents the opportunity to visit the centre in order to find out more about the history of the borough. Nothing has been finalised yet, and we are seeking residents and service users' views. Consultation ends on October the 18th.
We've now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.